A good Erev Shabbos to all. We're beginning a new perek, Pei Tes Amid Aleph, perek Kol Gagois, all the roofs. Well, we've covered on many of these ideas since the Masechta of the different Rishuyos. In those days, they would use roofs. The roofs were flat, and they would use them. People would use them for shtamshus. So the same shallow we have below about chatzeros going one to the other, making an erev, we would have on the roofs over here. And there's a three machloikis as we're about to see. So let's begin. Siyat D'Shmayim is Erev Shabbos, Kodesh, Shabbos Shever Brachos of Abigail Sarah Fulda, who used to be Abigail Sarah Stern. Says the Mishnah, Kol Gagos Seir, Rishus Achas, all Gagos of the city, they considered one Rishus, provided Ubulbachli a Gag Gavoy Yud Oinamach Yud. So if you would have, for example, if you would have a city that looks something like this, and you have one roof goes to the other rooftop, you'd be able to go ahead. However, if it's lower over here or higher over here, then you would not be able to. That's the shita of the Chachamim, or the shita of Meir, Divrei Reb Meir, the shita of Meir. It seems to make a difference between, they're all considered one rishus, with the exception if they're higher or lower. We'll have to see a reason why. Neither, you can't go from one gag to another, just like below you can't go from one chutz to another, from one house to another house, you can't go from one rooftop to another rooftop. No, achas gagois, we've had this many times, whether it's a gag, achas chatzeros, achas karfifos, rishus achas saying, on what they consider one rishus, lekalim sheshiftoy l'soichoy, regarding the kalim that were in their erev Shabbos. Lo lekalim sheshiftoy b'techabayis, but kalim that were in the house that you would have to rely upon an erev chatzeros to go ahead and take out from the house to the chutzner, then they were not considered one rishus. Again, the first time we had this part was the Perek Rebbe lessons of Mila. A Mila knife was forgotten. Could you bring a Mila knife on Shabbos going through the Gagois, Chatzeros, Karfifos? That was the sheet of Reb Shimon. So three sheetas. According to Reb Meir, all one rishus, as long as there's no difference in height between low 10, high 10. Like the Chachamim, completely distinct rishuyos. Like Reb Shimon was kula the Geshita, all one rishus for the kalim that were there out there before an Erev Shabbos Kodesh. Says the Gemara. Yosef Abaye Barovin, Reb Chanina Barovin, the Yosef Abaye Gabaye, Rosh Hashiva Abaye was sitting by Abaye Barovin and Chanina Barovin. The Yosef Kami, they were saying the following sugba. Amishna, Bishleim Rabbanon, who say that what? They're all separate Rishuyos, Sava, Kishem Shed the Urim Chalukin Lemata, just like their houses have different halachas below, meaning they're considered separate. Kach the Urim Chalukin Lemaila. So too are that with the same thing, just as below, we'll view them above is also separate, and therefore you can't go from one gag to another gag without an erev. You won't be able to do it. El Reb Meir, Mike Sav, Reb Meir, who says you could go, it is one rishus, and then he makes this distinction between high and low. Who does he hold like? So it's more ikasava kashem shed the urin chalukin lemata, hach the urin chalukin lemaila. My rishus achasein. So you should not go ahead and consider one rishus that you'll be able to carry without an erev if they're chalukin lemata. So to the chalukin lemaila. And obviously he doesn't hold that way because he holds you could carry as long as they're not 10 tefachim or 10 tefachim lower. Iksa the ein chaluka, and he says the ein chaluka the chol l'mayla meyud b'shus achasi afilu gagavoy asara v'namach yud nami. And he even says there's no chaluka below. So then, no matter what it looks like above, even if it's 10 above, it should be muta. In other words, miman of shach. We don't know this din of 10 high, 10 below. We know two dinim. If it's chaluka below, it's chaluka above, and therefore, just like below, you need an erev above to carry from a roof to a roof. If, on the other hand, what it's not chaluka, it's not you hold just it's chaluka below, but above it's not chaluka. It's one rishus. Then you should be able to carry throughout. So here's the chiluk between 10 and low, 10 tefachim high, 10 tefachim low. So Amalu Abaya, Leshmiel Lechu, Abaya, who was listening, told Abaya Barovin and Chanina Barovin, you didn't hear Hod the Amar of Yitzchak Baravdimi. He would say all the time, if you find two rishuyos, guys, listen to this chumrah. You find two rishuyos and they're one rishus. Kigain, Amud rishus hayachid, Givayr asara, v'rachiv dalid, asa lekatef alav, gizei rishemetal rishus harabim. Pirish. You have your rishus, you have a chatzar. It's Rishus HaYachid, it belongs to you. You'd have a tal 10 by 4 Says Reb Meir, you would not be able in your own chutzner, since this is 10 by 4, it's a separate rishus. In your chutzner, you would not be able to rest upon it. Why? I'm worried, Gezeira, if we allow you to do it in your rishus, you may come to do it in Rishus Harabim, going from Rishus Harabim to the 10 by 4, which is Rishus HaYochid, which is a din d'oraisa itself. So to avoid this din, the severe din of Shabbos, of going from Rishus Harabim to Rishus HaYochid, the tal that's 10 by 4, even in your own rishus, which is Rishus HaYochid, in a Rishus HaYochid, we won't allow it. And now, taking this concept, let's go to the roof, where it's 10 high or 10 low. So Hachanami here too by the roof. The reason why you can't carry from a roof to a 10 by 4 is the same reason, because you may come to go ahead. If you go to something that's 10 tefachim high, you may come to do it in Rishus Harabim. Now, Savimina, they held to say, I feel machteshes, even in your own Rishus, you would not be able to go ahead and rest upon a mortar, or vafilu gigois, or barrels. So Amalu Abayi, no, Hachi Amamar. This is what Yitzchak Ravdimi said. Amar Reb Meir, in the name of Reb Meir. Elo Amud Amis HaRechayim. Only an Amud Amis HaRechayim. Anything that's used for the Rechaim, the grinder, is considered Amis HaRechayim. Hoil Vodin Koivei Lehem Makoi. Since a person's Kavei Makom, it's similar to a towel. So Masha'in Kain, a barrel which is transportable, or Machteshes, it seems to be a hand mortar. That in that case, that is not a problem. You would be able to rest upon that, because we're not worried you may come to rest upon a towel, which is not similar at all to a towel. A towel is something that is set in one spot. So something set in one spot, like a rechaim or an amud, that's similar to a towel. Fred the Gemara, very koisel shebein beis chatzeros the kavua. A koisel that is between two chatzeros is kavua. There's nothing more kavua than that. You have a koisel between two chatzeros. Rabbi Yehuda kishetim saloima l'div Reb Meir gagin rishus la'atzman. Reb Meir just said his name by gagin, but since gag and gag are similar, who then will be chotzer and chotzer, or karfif and karfif, as it says. So therefore, that the Reb Meir said that gagin rishus la'atzman and chatzer is rishus la'atzman, karfif is rishus la'atzman. My lav, what does that mean? So you have a chotzer, one rishus, you have a wall in between, which is kavua. And he's saying it's considered one chutzner. So we see that something that's kavua, that's 10, doesn't stop. So who are din by the gag, one that's 10 should not stop. So in other words, we're questioning this din that you just stated, that the din of something that's kavua, you can be goizer at the talbishus harabim. If the gag is to a gag, if a karfif is to a karfif and a chutzner is to a chutzner, even if the chutzner has a wall in between, it should not stop you. It's kavua. On that, the answer is my love to show the tuli der of kaisel, even though it's kavua. Rav Huna by Yehuda Amarav Sheishes loy. It doesn't mean you can carry it. If the wall's kavua, you can't carry on the wall. You can't go over the wall. That's not possible. Why? It's kavua, and you can be kaveya. Elomat lahachmas lohaitzi der pesachim. It's speaking of the scenario that looks like this. The scenario looks like this, right? You have here's your mortar. Yeah. This is a problem. My lab is permitted to do this. Ayetz kavua says no. It's speaking over here. You can go the chutzner is speaking where you have lahafnis ulahoitzi. It's speaking that scenario, and therefore it would be. Chachamim kol echad v'echad rishus b'fnei atzmai. The Chachamim say that each one is a rishus by itself. Why? Obviously, they hold that there is some type of mechitza. There's some type of mechitza over here. Itmar. Now, we've had good achis. We're used to good achis. So, for example, where we had our balcony and we had our suspended 10 by 4 chute to put the water out, to draw water in, right? That we said, even though it's suspended, we'll say good achis. We'll say that it goes down. Now, guys, we're going to deal with the din of good asik. Good asik is its walls. And we saw earlier in the Masechta, the din of good asik and good is a din halacha Moshe Sinai, right? Chitzos and chatzitzos and good halacha Moshe Sinai. So with that concept, we understand the sugi very nicely. Good asik, fictitious walls going up. Says the Gemara. Itmar. Rav Amar ein metalton by el b'dal ramis. When they say the roofs are a separate rishus, you know what that means? You're limited to 4 amas, says Rav. So on my rooftop that's open to your rooftop, I'm limited to 4 amas. That's it. I'm limited to, says Rashi, why? Rav Amar ein metalton rabbanon b'gaga samach haverei el b'dal ramis. The kimidul rabbanon kol echad rishus la'atzmon. Since each one's a separate rishus, and you didn't make an Erev, the hein prutzim zeh lezeh, they're open to each other. Oismin zeh al zeh, they after each other. The havile rishus perutza b'maloa, it's a rishus that is breached to a place that in totality, the makama asallah. This is one of the tenets of Eruvin that we've spoken about many times. I take you back. I'm not going to go back. It's too far. The Chatzah Katana to the Chatzah Gedola, right? You had a Chatzah Katana. It went into a Chatzah Gedola. It was breached on Shabbos. You can carry in the Chatzah Gedola. You couldn't carry in the Chatzah Katana. Why? Because the Chatzah Katana is open to the Chatzah Gedola, to a place that's asa to it, and therefore it's asa. Says Rav, each rooftop is open to a makom that's asa. You didn't make an erev. Memela, you're limited to 4 amis in that particular rooftop. That's the din. So it says rishus b'fnei atzmai. That means that you're limited to 4 amis because each one of the roof is open to the other roof. And since I didn't make an erev with the other roof, I'm asa to that place. Again, this is a cloud we've said many times. Hopefully by now you've gotten it. And again, we're going to see it on the Amid base again. So if you didn't get it now, study. Says Rabbi. So on the whole roof you can carry. If you're rishus on the whole roof you can carry. Now, if there are mechitzas that are recognizable on the roof, everyone would agree you're able to carry. What? You're able to carry. We'll say good asik, says Rashi, 2 lines in the bottom. That means good asik. We'll say the walls go up. The domila omid b'shus harabim, the have b'shus hayachid, mishum gasik, mishum hala. We're going to say it goes up, and everyone would say you can carry. Even Rav would be more you can carry. Ki pligi b'mechatza she'enu nikaris. When you have, they're not recognizable. Rav ameim etalton boy elib dalid amis because loy omid good asik mechitzta. Since it's not recognizable, you don't say good asik. Shmulam mutal tatal b'kulei amin good asik mechitzta. Right. So therefore, the Sfaras HaMachloikis is whether you say good asik or not. Whether I say good asik or not. That's the Sfaras HaMachloikis. Let's see. Here's a case of mechitza hanikaros. We would call this a detached house. A little space between. Since there's a little space between, we'll say, even Rav would say, we say good asik, and we'll view this wall as being going up, and now you'll be able to carry totally over here, and you'll be able to carry totally over here. But let's say there's 2 separate rishuyas. This is one house, this is another house, and the roof goes from one to the other, and now you have a mechitza she'enani karois. You have a mechitza that's not recognizable. So according to Rav, you'd be limited to 4 amis over here, because since I don't say good asik, I'm open to a place that's asa, since I didn't make an erev. This is asa to here, this is asa to here. They'd be limited to 4 amis. Conversely, Shmuel's of the opinion there's no difference in this case. I say good asik, and even by mechitza she'enani karos that are not recognizable, I will say good asik. In this case also, I'll view there's a wall there. If there's a wall there, this is a separate rishus that I can carry throughout, and this is a separate rishus that I can carry throughout. So that would be a beautiful way of explaining the machloikis between Rav and Shmuel. So again, Shitas Chachamim, each one is considered a separate rishus. Rav says to the extent that what, if it's Chatzah She'enani Karos, you're limited to 4 amis because we won't say good asik in that case. We only say good asik when you have a recognizable wall, and then we'll extend the wall up. Since by Mechitza She'enani Karos is not a recognizable wall, we won't extend, and you'll be limited to 4 amis because you open up to a place that's asa. Shmuel says you would even say good asik, even by a wall that is not nicker. Even by a wall that's not nicker, you will say good asik. And the mela, it's considered there's a wall there. I'm not open. If there's a wall, I'm not open to a place that's usher, and therefore I'm mutter throughout the whole rooftop. I'm mutter. Says the Gemara. Tanan, the Chachamim say, Kolecha v'yechad amid beis, Kolecha v'yechad rishus le'atzmai. Each one is what? Is rishus itself. Now it says each one is rishus itself. It's mashma that you get the whole rooftop, and it's going to be a kasha and Rav. Bishlang the Shmuel nicha. It's a rishus by itself. El Rav kasha. So Rav is shver. So Ami Bei Rav and Shmei the Rav said the yeshiva Rav in the name of Rav. You know what it means? It's a rishus by itself. Shleitatul beis amis begagzeh u beis amis begagzeh. You're limited to 4 amis, but you're limited to 4 amis in your rishus. Since this is a separate rishus, you don't extend your 4 amis over that line. You don't extend it. You're limited to your 4 amas and your rishus. But the other rishus, you can't go 2 and 2. 2 and 2 doesn't equal 4 in this case. That's what it meant. So therefore, it's not shvar and rav. It's rishus by itself that we don't say that you can go the 4 amas over that line. It's rishus by itself that you're limited to your and that it. You can't go in the other one, 2 by 2. Another question on rav. When we were in Bavel, Havi Aminon Be Rav, Nishmei the Rav. We said in the yeshiva Rav in the name of Rav, Omru Ein Metalton Boy Ela Bedal and Amis. If there's no on the rooftops, you can only carry 4 amis. Behind the Shmuel, they had the following girsa in Shmuel's yeshiva Tanu, Ein Lehem Ela Gagon. They had the girsa. This was the brisa. They only have their gag. Mashma, they have their whole gag, the whole rishus, not 4 amis. Kash on Rav. They have their whole gag. Mashma, the whole gag. So, for the Gemara, Mayim Hem Ela Gagan, Lav the Shoyla Tutule Bekula. So what does it mean? This is part of the kasha. When it says gagan, they have their whole the rooftop. Is this brisa any more stronger than our Mishnah? Meaning that we established our Mishnah when it says that it's a rishus, that means when it says you have your gagon, it means you have your gagon for 4 amas, but you can't extend your gag 2 amas here to 2 amas there. Okay. Now, previously we said by chotzer with the mechitza she'en and ikaros, we said that what? Again, just to reiterate, by chotzer she'en and ikaros, we said that in fact we do not say according to Rav good achas mechitza, but according to Shmuel you would say good asik mechitza. You would say good asik mechitza according to Shmuel. Okay, this is all twice. Okay, this is what we need. You have a roof, one goes up to the other. This is guys the chatzah ketana that's open to the chatzah gedola. So if you now notice, this we'll view this that doesn't have gifufim. Like here's the picture. It has like over here that it extends in. So if you're standing over here, you're going right in, and therefore it's open to a place that's usher. Conversely, if you're standing in this area, you have these walls over here. So here you have a rooftop. There are no walls on the rooftop. And here you have a wall here and a wall that goes over here. Using the din of good asik, we'll view this as virtual kifufim, virtual walls, and we'll say it's asa to carry in here because it's open to a place that is asa to it, and it's mutter to carry here because you have gifufim. So you see, according to Shmuel, even where you don't have recognizable walls, we'll say what? We'll say good asik mechitzah. Says the Gemara. Amar Rav Yosef, le'shmilei hashmait. So that Shmuel said you say good asik where what? Where it's not recognizable. Only Abaya at Amanelon, you taught it to us. Kahoma Amanelon, you taught us in the following case. Gaga Godel has samach l'katan. If you have a Gaga Godel, a big roof that's next to a small roof, Hagodel mutter, it's mutter to carry it over here. Cotton asa, and it's asa to carry over here. But Amanelon Allah, and Abaya reminding Rabbi Yosef who got sick and forgot his Torah. Amanelon Allah, just by Derech Agav, I looked it up. There are 10 places in Shas where this appears, where Rabbi Yosef forgot his Torah, and Abaye reminded him. 5 of them are Masech Eruvin. I find that fascinating. 5 of them are Masech Eruvin. I find that fascinating. So I'm Rabbi Yehuda Mishmor Leishanu Ela Sheyesh Diyurin Alzeh, and this is this is Leishanu Ela Sheyesh Diyurin Alzeh v'Diyurin Alzeh. When do we say this is us and this is mutter, guys? Is when you have people who live here and people who live there. So what's going to happen? So in fact, what I just told you before, this is a recognizable and this is a recognizable wall. So that's not the shaila. The shaila over here is over here, guys. Going from here to here. That's not a recognizable wall. So when do we say that this is usher? When do we say this is usher, this is mutter? Is because the good asik over here, since we have people who live here, they're going to walk over it. It's a mechitza hanitreses. It's a mechitza that is trodden upon. So since you're walking over it, it destroys it. But in fact, you do have a mechitza over there. So if there would be no one living on the roof, then this would be a virtual, right over here, connecting to here, there would be a virtual good asik, and therefore this would be mutter and this would be mutter, because this now is not open to a place that's usher. It's not open to a place that's usher because you have a line over here. So Rabbi is reminding Rav Yosef that in fact you did teach it to us. In fact, you held like Shmuel that you say good asik by a non-recognizable wall, as you see over here, fellas. This over here is this over here. This is the small chutzah. Here's the large chutzah. Here's your non-recognizable wall, and you're walking over here, and therefore, since you're walking, you're destroying it. That's why the large one is mutta and the other one is asa. But if you would destroy it, they'd both be mutta. Says the Gemara. I'm Rabbi Shmuel. When there's one, the small one asa and the big one mutta, we have the urine on both. The cotton mechitz and the dresses. Because now this virtual line is what is the dresses is destroyed. The urine if no one lives there, then shnei mutarim. Why? We'll say good asik. This will be one. We say good asik. This will be a separate rishus. This will be a separate rishus. We got a wall between them. They both be muta. Amalei Rabbi said no. This is what I told you. I said that's halacha. That's us and that's muta. Only in a scenario where what? You have a mechitza on the mechitza over there. This is where I said it. Right? This is when this is utter, this is mutter. Right? The gadol mishtri the gifufi, because the gadol now becomes mutter because it has these gifufim. Again, if you're standing in here, you're looking, this makes it a pesach, guys. When you have this over here, it becomes a pesach to this. It's not open to a place that's usher. The cotton nifetz b'meloah, but the cotton is, since it looks straight ahead and doesn't see gifufim, it's nifetz meloah, and therefore it's usher to open to a place that's usher. But if you don't have mechitza, they're both going to be asa. They're both going to be asa. They're both going to be open to a place that's asa. So why? Because we don't say this. We don't say this. They'll both be asa because we won't say this. If we don't say this, then they're both open to a place that's asa. This would create the fictitious walls. This is the case where you don't have mechitza on top of the mechitza. These fictitious walls only come about saying the halacha of good asik. He said you wouldn't say it. You wouldn't say that good asik in that scenario. You wouldn't say it, and therefore, so now, Fred Gemara about the urine. You told us the urine. Now you're changing gears. You told us the urine. You used the word the urine. So I'm alone. So the urine. Rabbi Yosef said, if I told you the word the urine, this is what I told you. When is it mutter and asa? If you have a mechitza, that's roy ladira, a full-fledged mechitza like here. However, if you have a mechitza that's not roy ladira, guys, one that looks like this one has a mechitza that's roy ladira. And this one has these partitions. In that case, right? The gadol mechitza be cotton if it's maloya. Aval yesh mechitza roy ladira ala gadol, ain roy ladira ala cotton. I feel the cotton shari l'bnei gadol. We said over here it's mutter for them to carry over here. We said for them it's also to carry over here. If this has these lousy walls, they can even carry in here. Why? Because my timer, even ovid mechitza, since they didn't make a real mechitza, saluki slikin avshemihacha. They're mevatel, they were shus. They don't expect anyone to live here. Look what they're putting up here. Looks like looks like the cardboard in the city for the people living in refrigerator boxes. So therefore, since they did it, they removed themselves. If they removed their rishus, they would be permitted in here. Similar to Amar of Nachman, asa sulam kavur legagai. If a person makes a sulam kavur for a gag, you have gagas over here. The only one who went ahead and made the gag to get up there is this guy. So the lacher is that he could use it and they can't because they didn't vatal their rishus to him because they didn't make the gag. He's the only one who did. Kihod Amar of Nachman, asa sulam kavur legagai hutta b'chol hagagin. Makes what? It makes mutter all the gagin kulan. It becomes mutter all the gagin because he bothered to make it and they didn't. If they removed themselves, by him in this case not putting up a real wall, they masalik themselves and we mutter over here, and that's what Rabbi Yosef taught Abaya. So Bez Hashem will see you tomorrow night at 7:00. I wish everyone a great Shabbos. Have a great Shabbos. It's been a pleasure.